The day I went to my sister's gender reveal party was the day my whole life split in two. She handed me the ultrasound photo with this huge, glowing smile, and everyone around us was laughing and clapping like they were in some cheesy commercial. But as my eyes traced the black and white image, past the tiny profile and the curling spine, they landed on one small line of text that made my stomach drop. The room was full of pink and blue balloons, but all I could see was the date of conception. A date that should have meant nothing, except it matched the exact weekend my husband went on a work trip with my sister Dot in that moment. With confetti cannons ready to explode and everyone chanting for the big reveal, I realized the baby she was so proudly showing off might belong to my husband. My name is Frankie, short for Francesca, and until that day, I thought my life was finally settling into something like normal. I'd been married to Ethan for 5 years. We had a small house with a crooked fence, a mortgage, and an elderly cat named Pepper who hated everyone except me. I worked as a nurse at a women's health clinic, and Ethan was a sales manager who traveled just enough to be annoying, as I like to joke. And then there was my younger sister, Lily. Lily was the kind of girl who glowed. Long blonde hair, blue eyes, that effortless, Instagram perfect kind of pretty. She floated from job to job: bartender, yoga instructor, influencer assistant, while somehow always landing on her feet. Growing up, I was the responsible one. The planner, the fixer, the one who covered for her when she snuck out or forgot mom's birthday. I thought that dynamic ended when we became adults. It didn't. It just changed costumes, especially when it came to one topic: babies. Ethan and I had been trying to have a baby for 3 years. 3 years of ovulation tests, calendar tracking, awkward doctor appointments, and one heartbreaking miscarriage that I still felt in my bones. After the miscarriage, Ethan changed. Not overnight, but slowly, like water eroding rock. He became distant, spending more time at work, staying late, taking extra trips. When I brought up trying again, he'd say, "Let's not push it, Frank. Let's just breathe for a while." So when Lily announced she was pregnant, it sliced through me in a way I wasn't prepared for. We were all at my mom's house for Sunday dinner. Lily stood up, clinked her glass, and grinned like she'd just won the lottery. "I have some news," she said, eyes sparkling. "I'm pregnant." The room exploded. My mom gasped. My stepdad hugged her. Even Pepper fled the noise. I just sat there, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth, my throat dry. I managed a smile, because I'm the older sister, the responsible one, the supportive one. "Oh my God, Lily, that's wow. Congratulations." I stood up and hugged her. She squeezed me tight, her perfume overwhelming. She pulled back and smoothed her hair. "I know this might be weird for you, Frankie," she said softly, so only I could hear. "But I hope you'll be happy for me." Something about the way she said it, like she was bracing for my jealousy, made something small and bitter twist inside me. "I am happy for you," I lied. Across the table, Ethan's reaction was strange. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. His knuckles were white around his glass, and when Lily squealed about due dates and morning sickness, he barely contributed. Later that night, as we drove home, I tried to bring it up. "Lily's pregnant," I said, staring out the window at the passing streetlights. "Yeah," he replied, voice flat. "You okay?" "I'm fine. Just tired. Long week." I let it go. I always let it go. A few weeks later, Lily started planning her gender reveal party. Of course she did. Lily couldn't just text, "It's a girl," like a normal person. No, she needed balloons, smoke cannons, personalized cookies, a photographer, the whole circus. "Frankie, you have to come," she insisted over the phone. "It's next Saturday. You'll be there, right?" "Yeah," I said automatically. "I'll be there. Bring Ethan. Oh, and wear something cute. There'll be photos." I rolled my eyes as I hung up, but deep down, I felt something else: dread. That week, I found the first real crack in my reality. I was cleaning our bedroom when I found a folded piece of paper tucked beneath Ethan's side of the mattress. Not hidden well, just lazily shoved there, like guilt in physical form. I unfolded it and saw a hotel receipt. 1 king room, 2 nights, 2 months earlier. The same weekend he'd told me he was going on a regional sales conference. The hotel wasn't even in his coverage area. I stared at the paper so long the numbers started to blur. My heart hammered, and my brain did what it always did. It tried to rationalize. Maybe he stayed there because his usual hotel was booked. Maybe he met a coworker who booked the room. Maybe Maybe. I tucked the receipt into my nightstand drawer and didn't say a word. But for the first time, I felt something cold and sharp wedge itself between us. And still, Saturday came. And with it, Lily's gender reveal. The party was at a rented event hall, because of course it was, pink and blue streamers. A huge white balloon with boy or girl, written in curly letters. Tables covered with tiny bow tie and tutu confetti. A donut wall. A photo backdrop with Baby Thompson in golden letters. Lily floated around in a white dress that hugged her small, perfectly round bump. Her new boyfriend, no fianc, I realized when I saw the ring. Tom hovered near her, beaming. Tom was quiet, kind. The sort of man who brought flowers for my mom and cleared dishes without being asked. He worshipped Lily like she hung the moon. Frankie. Lily squealed when she saw me. She rushed over and hugged me, like we were kids again. You made it. Wouldn't miss it, I said. Ethan stood beside me, hands in his pockets, eyes scanning the room like he'd rather be anywhere else. Lily pulled back, her eyes shining. I have something special to show you. She reached into her purse and pulled out a glossy black and white photo. The ultrasound. Look, she whispered, handing it to me like it was something sacred. Isn't she beautiful? I took it gently, because I knew how much these images meant. I'd seen hundreds at work, but they never stopped being powerful. A tiny human in grayscale. A future, suspended in sound waves. At first, I saw what I always saw, a baby's profile, a little nose, a rounded head, the curve of a spine, and then my eyes dropped to the bottom corner, to the little block of text that 90% of people ignore. Patient name, Lily Thompson. Gestational age, 16W for D. Estimated due date, November 22. My heart stuttered. I did the mental math automatically. 16 weeks and 4 days ago was. I swallowed. Was the exact weekend of Ethan's work trip. The same dates on the hotel receipt tucked in my nightstand. I stared at the numbers so long. Lily laughed. Frankie? She said, nudging me gently. You okay? Don't tell me you're going to cry, you softie. Ethan shifted beside me. I didn't have to look at him to feel the tension rolling off his body. Yeah, I said slowly, forcing myself to smile, my cheeks stiff. She's beautiful. I handed the photo back with hands that trembled just a little. Something was wrong. Very, very wrong. The announcement itself was one big, curated spectacle. Everyone gathered in a semicircle outside, phones out, recording. Lily and Tom stood in the center, holding a giant black balloon filled with colored powder. Ready? Lily called out. 3, 2, 1. They popped the balloon. Pink smoke exploded into the air. People screamed. It's a girl. Lily shrieked, jumping up and down. Tom scooped her up in his arms. My mom sobbed. I clapped. I smiled. I made all the right noises. On the outside, I was the loving sister celebrating a new life. On the inside, I was doing math. Watching Ethan. Watching Lily. Watching the way his eyes avoided mine. When it was over and everyone scattered for food and photos, I slipped inside the hall and into the bathroom. Locking the door behind me, I sank onto the closed toilet seat and pulled out my phone. My fingers shook as I opened the calculator app and counted back the weeks again. This time more carefully, 16 weeks and 4 days. I checked the hotel receipt in my photos. I'd snapped a picture of it that night. Same weekend. The exact same. My stomach flipped. I could be wrong, I told myself. Due dates aren't exact. People lie about conception dates all the time. But this wasn't just about dates. It was about Ethan's distant behavior. About Lily's reluctance to tell us who the father was at first. It's kind of complicated, she'd said. Then introduced Tom a few weeks later as if he'd always been in the picture. It was about that hotel receipt. About the way Ethan had reacted to her pregnancy news. I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My face looked pale, drawn, like I'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. What if? I whispered. What if the baby was Ethan's? What if my husband and my sister had done the one thing I had been terrified of my entire life, taken the one thing I wanted most and made it theirs? I wish I could say I confronted them right then and there. That I stormed out and demanded answers. But that's not who I was. I'd spent my whole life smoothing things over, minimizing my own pain to keep the peace. So I walked out of that bathroom, plastered on my smile again, and survived the rest of the party on autopilot. I hugged Lily. I congratulated Tom. I let Ethan put his arm around me for pictures, but inside, a different version of me was waking up. One that didn't want to just cry and move on, one that wanted the truth, and maybe even revenge. The next few days were a blur. I went to work. I made dinner. I laughed at Ethan's half-hearted jokes. But my mind was always somewhere else, trapped in that black and white ultrasound image. On Wednesday, I finally did something I never thought I would. I broke into my husband's phone. He'd fallen asleep on the couch, TV still playing. I sat beside him, and with shaking hands, lifted his phone from his chest. I knew his passcode. It was our anniversary date. That detail hurt more than it should have. Once inside, I went straight to his messages, then straight to the search bar. Lily. A thread popped up. My heart dropped. I tapped it. The thread was empty. Every message deleted. Every one. My insides went cold. I almost gave up there, but some instinct pushed me further. I opened his hidden photo folder. Yes, I knew about that too. I just never had a reason to look before. There, sandwiched between random memes and a screenshot of a bank transfer, was a photo of an ultrasound, Lily's ultrasound, taken from a slightly different angle than the one she'd handed me. Below it, one line of text from Ethan. I still don't know how we're going to tell her. The date on that text? 2 weeks before Lily announced her pregnancy to the family. I stared at the words until tears blurred the letters. My brain tried to reject it, to twist it into something less ugly. Maybe he meant something else. Maybe he meant her mom. Maybe another message appeared earlier in the thread, before he'd started mass deleting. It hadn't been scrubbed for some reason. Maybe he'd missed it. This one was from Lily. You promised you'd leave her, Ethan. I'm not being your dirty secret forever. This is your baby, not Tom's. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. The room tilted. I pressed a hand over my mouth to stop the sound clawing its way up my throat. It wasn't a suspicion anymore. It wasn't just a date and a receipt and a feeling. It was real. My husband had slept with my sister. My sister was carrying his baby, and they had planned to tell me at some point, like confessing to breaking a vase. But instead, Lily had found Tom. Tom, the sweet, clueless man who thought he was going to be a father. They had chosen to lie about everything. I sat there, watching Ethan snore softly, and felt something inside me harden. This was beyond betrayal. This was theft. They had taken the baby I'd begged the universe for and made it into their dirty secret. And they were going to smooth it over, move on, act like I was too fragile to handle the truth. No, not this time. The next morning, I called out of work. I spent the whole day planning. Revenge, I realized, wasn't about hurting them physically or destroying their lives for the sake of it. It was about taking back my power, about refusing to let them control the narrative. They had chosen secrets and shadows. I would choose light. The weapon I chose was simple. The truth, and the perfect stage. Lily's baby shower. It was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Another event hall, another Pinterest board come to life. Games, cake, gifts, the works. I texted Lily. Me. Need any help with the baby shower? Lily. Oh my God, yes. You are a lifesaver. Maybe you could put together one of those slideshows, like Lily's journey to motherhood? I stared at the crying emoji and almost laughed. Perfect. Me. I'd love to. I'll handle the slideshow. Total surprise. Lily, you're the best sister. My fingers hovered over the screen. I typed and deleted, then finally settled on me. Yeah, I know. The 2 weeks that followed were some of the longest of my life. Ethan acted normal, or as normal as he ever did lately. We ate dinner together, watched Netflix, made small talk. I didn't confront him. Not yet. He had no idea that every night, after he fell asleep, I sat in the living room building a slideshow that would burn everything to the ground. I gathered pictures, childhood photos of Lily and me, family holidays, goofy selfies. I sprinkled in photos of her and Tom, their engagement, their first vacation, and then I added the screenshots, the ultrasound pic from Ethan's hidden folder, the messages between him and Lily, a photo of the hotel receipt. I arranged them carefully, timing the transitions so that they would appear right after a sweet, emotional montage. I added soft background music, something sentimental. The final slide simply read, "Congratulations Lily and Ethan on your baby girl." I stared at those words for a long time. It was petty, maybe, cruel even, but so was what they'd done to me. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to throw things. I wasn't going to slap anyone or damage property or do anything that would make me look insane. I was going to let the truth speak for itself. In front of everyone. The day of the baby shower. I woke up strangely calm. I put on a simple blue dress, did my makeup, and drove to the event hall with the slideshow loaded onto a USB drive in my bag. When I arrived, the place was already buzzing. Pink decorations everywhere this time. It's a girl. Banners, tiny dresses hanging from strings, little plastic baby bottles as party favors. Lily floated through the crowd, glowing, one hand always on her stomach. Tom trailed behind her, carrying gifts and helping guests. Frankie. Lily squealed when she saw me. You look amazing. Thanks, I said, hugging her. Her hair smelled like vanilla and flowers. I wondered how I'd ever thought of her as fragile. Did you bring it? She whispered excitedly. Yeah, I said. It's all ready. I glanced over at Ethan. He stood near the snack table, laughing with one of Tom's friends. When our eyes met, he smiled at me, and for a second I almost faltered. Almost. Halfway through the shower, after the games and cake, Lily clapped her hands. Okay, everyone? Before we open gifts, my sister Frankie has a surprise for us. She turned to me, eyes shining. Right? I nodded and walked to the front of the room, plugging the USB drive into the laptop connected to the projector. My hands were steady. My heart pounded, but in a focused way, like before a big exam. Hey everyone, I said, turning to face the crowd. I put together a little something for Lily. Just a look back at her journey to motherhood. There were a few ahs. Someone sniffled preemptively. I hit play. Soft music filled the room. The screen lit up with pictures of Lily as a baby, then as a toddler, then as a teenager, then with Tom. People laughed, pointed, wiped tears. Look at her hair in that one, my mom said, chuckling. The slideshow rolled on. Lily clutched Tom's arm, her eyes misty. Ethan leaned against the back wall, arms crossed, watching. Then the tone changed. The ultrasound photo appeared. The one from Ethan's phone. There was a murmur of recognition. Everyone had seen it at the gender reveal, but this time, the image slowly zoomed in on the bottom corner. On the text, on the gestational age, on the date. Then, the next slide, a screenshot of Lily's text. You promised you'd leave her. Ethan, I'm not being your dirty secret forever. This is your baby, not Tom's. The room went dead silent. I felt the air shift. Tom's brow furrowed. Lily's smile froze on her face, then slowly fell away. What is this? She whispered. The next slide appeared. The hotel receipt, then Ethan's text. I still don't know how we're going to tell her. Someone gasped loudly. My mom pressed a hand to her mouth. Ethan shot forward from the back of the room. Frankie, turn it off. I didn't. The final slide popped up. Congratulations Lily and Ethan on your baby girl. Silence. Then everything happened at once. What the hell is this? Tom shouted, standing up so fast his chair toppled. Tom, I can explain, Lily stammered. Her face drained of color. It's not what it looks like, Ethan said at the same time, his eyes wild as he rounded on me. Frankie, what did you do? I turned to face them both. My hands were still steady. My voice, when it came, was surprisingly calm. I told the truth, I said. People were whispering now, shifting in their seats. Some were outright staring at Lily's stomach, at Ethan, at me. Is it true? Tom demanded, turning to Lily. Tell me this is some kind of sick joke. Tears streamed down Lily's face. Tom, please, she begged. It was a mistake. It was a long time ago, before you and I when. He snapped. She hesitated. I didn't. 16 weeks and 4 days ago, I said quietly. The same weekend my husband stayed at a hotel he lied about. Tom looked like he'd been punched. He stumbled back a step. You slept with your sister's husband? He asked, voice breaking. Tom, I'm sorry, Lily sobbed. I didn't mean you didn't mean? My mom finally spoke, her voice shaking. Lily, how could you? Ethan grabbed my arm, his fingers digging into my skin. We should talk about this privately, he hissed. I pulled my arm free. No, I said. You decided to do it in secret. I decided to end it in public. His jaw clenched. You're being dramatic. I laughed, a short, humorless sound. You slept with my sister while I was mourning our miscarriage. You got her pregnant, then planned to tell me when it was convenient. The room buzzed with shock and disgust. Tom stared at Lily like she was a stranger. Is it my baby? He asked hoarsely. Lily sobbed harder, her shoulders shaking. She didn't answer, and that, of course, was the answer. The shower ended in chaos. Tom walked out. My mom cried. A few of Lily's friends gathered around her, but even they looked shaken. Ethan followed me to my car. Frankie, wait, he said, grabbing my arm again. We need to talk. I turned to him, feeling oddly detached, like I was watching someone else's life. We will, I said, but not here. And not as husband and wife. His face contorted. You're overreacting. People make mistakes. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary, I said quietly. You carried on an affair with my sister and got her pregnant. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I unlocked my car and slid inside. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I saw Lily sitting on the curb, her head in her hands, her white dress stained with tears and smeared mascara. For the first time in my life, I didn't rush to comfort her. The fallout was messy. Of course it was. I filed for divorce. Ethan begged, threatened, bargained. At one point he even accused me of ruining his life, as if exposing the truth was worse than what he'd done. Lily moved back in with my mom for a while. Tom blocked her on everything. My mom tried to stay neutral at first, but the weight of what Lily had done to me, to Tom, to the whole family crushed that instinct. It's like I don't even know you, I heard her say to Lily one night when I stopped by to drop off some paperwork. For months, I woke up to a quiet house. No husband, no baby, no noise except Pepper's grumpy meow and the sound of my own breathing. It hurt. God, it hurt. But underneath the pain, there was something else. Relief. Relief that I wasn't crazy. That my instincts had been right. That I hadn't spent the rest of my life playing dumb, swallowing my suspicions to keep a family intact that was already broken. I started therapy. I took extra shifts at work. I went on walks. I started journaling. Again, something I hadn't done since I was a teenager. Slowly, I started to feel like myself again, not the version of me defined by infertility, by being the responsible sister, by being the forgiving wife, just me. Months later, Lily asked if we could talk. We met at a small cafe near my work. She looked different, tired, puffy-eyed, heavily pregnant now. Hi, she said softly, sliding into the seat across from me. Hi. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. I'm sorry, she finally whispered, tears welling up. I know that doesn't change anything, but I am. I stared at her, at the girl I'd once shared a bedroom with, who I'd stayed up all night comforting after breakups, who I'd covered for when she came home drunk in high school. You didn't just sleep with my husband, I said. You lied to me. You lied to Tom. You let me stand next to you and celebrate a baby you knew was conceived in betrayal. She winced. I know. I was stupid and selfish. Ethan told me you two were basically over, that you didn't want to try for a baby anymore. I believed him. I let out a bitter laugh. Of course he did. I found out I was pregnant and I panicked, she continued. Tom was easy, safe. He wanted a family. I thought I could just slide him into the role and no one would get hurt. No one except me, and him, and the baby. When she grows up and realizes her whole origin story is a lie. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She cradled her stomach instinctively. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said. I miss my sister. That hit something deep. I looked down at my coffee, then back at her. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, I said honestly. But I don't want to carry this anger forever either. It's heavy. She nodded, sniffling. I get it. We sat in silence for a while. I hope you're a better mother than you were a sister, I finally said, not to be cruel, but because it was the truth. She flinched, then nodded. Me too. I don't know what my relationship with Lily will look like in 5 years, or 10. I don't know if I'll ever be in the same room as Ethan again, but I do know this. The day of that gender reveal, everything changed. I went in as the older sister, the supportive wife, the woman who always put herself second. I walked out as someone else. Someone who chose herself. Someone who refused to live in a lie. Was my revenge harsh? Maybe. But it was honest. And for the first time in my life, I let the consequences fall on the people who earned them, instead of cushioning their landing with my silence. If you were me, what would you have done? Would you have kept the secret to protect the family, or exposed the truth like I did? Let me know in the comments, because I still think about that question. And if you want to hear more real stories of betrayal, secrets, and unexpected revenge, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for listening to my story.